Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Joan Brammer, Attaché Public Affairs and Culture at the Embassy of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in Washington, D.C. I am so excited to welcome you all to our second Story Slam, and as we would say in Trinidad and Tobago, we ting, in commemoration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. The national anthems of the United States of America and the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago will now be played on the pan by Miss Josanne Francis.
Thank you, Josanne, for that excellent rendition of the national anthems of Trinidad and Tobago and the United States of America. My name is Rudy Trushen, and I'm the second secretary here at the Embassy in Washington, D.C. And it's my pleasure to introduce His Excellency Anthony W.J. Philip Spencer, Ambassador of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to the United States of America and Permanent Representative to the Organization of American States. Ambassador Philip Spencer will bring welcome remarks on behalf of all of us here at the Embassy.
Good evening and happy Caribbean American Heritage Month 2022. I extend congratulations to the people, government, and Caribbean American community here in the United States, and in particular to our own Trinbagonian diaspora, on this 17th celebration and commemoration of National Caribbean American Heritage Month 2022. For the second consecutive year, and in this year of the 60th anniversary of our nation's independence, which we will celebrate in just over 2 months, the Embassy of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to the United States and the Permanent Mission to the Organization of American States is delighted to again make a distinctively Trinbagonian contribution to this annual commemoration of National Caribbean American Heritage Month with the participation of talented representatives from our Trini American diaspora community. Today, you will hear Professor and steel pan virtuoso Liam Ting, Maestro and music educator Josanne Francis, and Dr. Leonard Jack. With our typical Trini creativity, and just as we did in our first edition of this Story Slam production in June 2021, this year, our mission team, led again by our Attaché Public Affairs and Culture, Mrs. Joan Brammer, and our Community Relations Officer, Mrs. Christiane Stewart, presents Ting, Pan and Comedy. Last year, at our first Story Slam, mouths opened and stories jumped out from all different cities across the United States. However, this year, our national instrument and musical gift of cultural diplomacy to the world, the steel pan, or the pan, will do most of the talking. Sweet pan. And after the pan is done talking, our national treasure, actor, storyteller, and queen of comedy, Nikki Crosby, will have you listening, learning, and laughing with sweet talk. Most appropriately this evening, we are also particularly honored to have our Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Senator the Honorable Randall Mitchell, as our featured speaker before we start Ting with sweet pan and sweet talk. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for adding your distinguished voice to this celebration of Trini culture amidst the commemoration of Caribbean American heritage. This annual celebration of people of Caribbean heritage continues to honor the invaluable contributions made by Caribbean and Trini culture and communities to the enduring, mature, and strong relations that bind the United States of America with the countries and citizens of its third border, the Caribbean, and for us, with Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you all for joining us this evening for Ting, Pan and Comedy. And again, Happy Caribbean American Heritage Month 2022.
Thank you, Ambassador. It is now my pleasure to welcome Senator the Honorable Randall Mitchell, Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts.
Permit me to recognize His Excellency Anthony Philip Spencer, Ambassador to the United States and Permanent Representative to the Organization of American States. Mrs. Joan Brammer, Attaché, Public Affairs and Culture. Ms. Rudy Trushen, Second Secretary, Embassy of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Washington, D.C. Our storytellers and performers, Professor Liam Teague, Ms. Josanne Francis, and Dr. Sweetpan Leonard Jack, who are championing the spread of Trinidad and Tobago culture to the world, and my fellow Trinidad and Tobago citizens resident in the United States as cultural ambassadors. It gives me great pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts at the commemoration of National Caribbean American Heritage Month. This year, the Embassy of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Washington, D.C., is giving us Ting, Pan and Comedy, Trinbago's gift to the world. The name alone evokes a sense of belonging, a sense of pride, a sense of place. Trinidad and Tobago has given the world its two best exports, its music and its people. Pan is Ting. Pan was born of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And who better to infuse levity and laughter into the cares of this world than our people, and tell our stories in a way that describes our energy, our tolerance, our zest for life, and our cultural norms. When we describe Trinidad and Tobago to the world, ask yourself, what's the difference between us and our Caribbean neighbors? Well, with everywhere else, it's a place to see. But here, it's the place to be. As Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, one of our mandates is to develop our art forms while sharing it with the world. For example, I remember a not much younger Liam Teague playing with his hands like lightning and leaving listeners and viewers in awe of his talent. Along with Dr. Leonard Jack, Miss Josanne Francis, and the indomitable Nikki Crosby, people get to know us and who we are. The world is drawn into our space and can immerse themselves into all that we are. This year, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we're celebrating 60 years as an independent nation. This independence came at a price, but holds great value, because it is from then to now that our national identity has evolved and distinguishes us from all others. It is this identity that gives us the colors, the vibrancy, the celebrations, and of course, our culture. In closing, I wish to reiterate my support for not just the Trinidad and Tobago Embassy in Washington, D.C., but also all of our embassies and diplomatic staff that continue to proudly fly the red, white, and black in faraway lands and remain close to home through the cultural connections we have today. I will sincerely like to thank the Embassy for inviting me to be a part of commemorating Caribbean heritage and influence on American society. And I wish the committee all the best in its month of celebrations. Let us continue to celebrate Ting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to hear from our storytellers. You know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we are second to none when it comes to our cultural talent that we share with the rest of the world. Starting with our national instrument, the steel pan, the only new acoustic instrument invented in the 20th century. And we can all be proud because, after all, it was invented in Trinidad and Tobago. Liam Teague is a professor of music and head of steel band studies at Northern Illinois University. Known as the Paganini of the steel pan, it is often said that he has hands like lightning. I play the pan. I wish I could be him. Miss Josanne Francis, a rising star in the steel band arena, is a beloved music educator and steel band performer. Leonard Jack Jr., known in the DMV as the Sweet Pan Leonard Jack, is another established, esteemed ambassador for our national instrument.
It's a pleasure to be part of Story Slam, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to all of you a bit about my history. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, San Fernando to be precise, and I first started playing the steel pan at the age of 11. I was introduced to the instrument at one of my father's Cub Scout meetings. He had a Cub Scout troop called Coffee Boys Cub Scout troop, and one of the members, Darren Shepherd, who is the manager and arranger for the Fun Clay steel band now, he introduced me to the steel pan, and I fell in love with it, and I asked my father for lessons, and he took me to the T and Tech Motown Steel Orchestra, which was very close to where I lived. I played there for several years, and then subsequently joined the Hillside Symphony, another steel orchestra in San Fernando, and I played there for several more. Attended the San Fernando East Junior Secondary School and then Pleasantville Senior Comprehensive, and at both schools there was a steel band, and the late great Ken Professor Fillmore was the arranger, and so it was quite a pleasure learning music from him. And then while I was in Trinidad, I competed in various competitions as a soloist, including Teen Talent, Scouting for Talent, Pan is Beautiful, the school steel band music festival. And I also composed pieces for the instrument at a relatively young age, or probably around 15 is when I did my first composition. I also arrived there. And then in the 1990s, the early 1990s, I decided to come to the USA to study at Northern Illinois University, where I obtained my degrees. At the time, it was the only university in the world where one could pursue degrees in music with a steel pan emphasis. And now I'm very grateful to be a full professor at Northern Illinois University. And we have students that come from all over the world, in particular Trinidad and Tobago, to study at NIU, including Miss Josanne Francis, soon to be Dr. Josanne Francis. And so some of my passions are composing, arranging, and of course performing for the steel pan, but really also highlighting the various musical possibilities of this wonderful instrument. And so I perform at various ensembles, including orchestras, jazz bands, jazz combos, percussion ensembles, you name it, I really try to do it, because I truly believe we have one of the most beautiful and versatile instruments in the world, and folks all over need to know the profundity of the steel pan. I've been very fortunate as well to receive several awards from Trinidad and Tobago, including the Hummingbird Award, the Ansel McCall Group of Companies Caribbean Award for Excellence, as well as awards from Northern Illinois University, including the Presidential Research, Scholarship, and Artistry Professorship, and most recently, their Board of Trustees Professorship, which is one of the highest awards at the university. So I remain dedicated to highlighting and showcasing the versatility of the steel pan and trying to be the best ambassador possible for Trinidad and Tobago and the extended Caribbean. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Hi everybody, my name is Josanne Francis. I am a steel pan performer, educator and scholar based in the Washington DC metropolitan area. And pan is everything to me. Pan is everything to me. I cannot imagine life without music. I cannot imagine life without pan. And there is no existence without music. So how did this begin? So as a child growing up in Trinidad, I always saw pan on TV, especially during the carnival season. And I always would be so mesmerized and I would be glued to the TV whenever Panorama was on or whenever a steel band was on TV playing anything, because the music would sound good. It would touch deep within my soul, the music, and then just seeing these players on stage having a good time. I would have a good time too in front of the TV. I will try a little thing on the imaginary pan. But I remember it was when I was about 9 years old that my mother saw an ad in the newspapers for some beginning classes in steel pan. And it was happening just up the street in Diego Martin at Mary Tone's Steel Band, so Mary Tone's Pan Yard. And she asked me and my siblings if we wanted to do it. My sister and I said, yes, of course we would do it. I think the course probably lasted about 8 weeks or so. And I remember every Saturday morning, my sister and I would go to the pan yard. My dad would take us, give us a little change to buy us, a couple of snacks or a drink while we're there. And we learned so much music. From the time I played the first tune, I was like, yes, I love pan. So we did Edelweiss, we learned the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago, we did Amazing Grace, a couple of the tunes. And at the culminating performance, we did full steel band repertoire, but we also had different features. So some people played solo, some people played duo, and of course, my sister and I did a duet of Amazing Grace. She was really good, I was really good, but I don't think she touched a pan ever since. But I remember after that, as a student at the Bryn Mawr Primary School in Pitti Valley, we had music worked into the school day. So every Wednesday, Mrs. Seeley, that's Jocelyn Seeley, she would come and we would have music classes. And music classes involved singing songs while she accompanied us on the piano, but it also involved some fundamental music theory. So we would learn like the lines and spaces of the treble clef, etc. And I really came to appreciate that later in my music career, because it didn't occur to me then how much of a blessing that was to have music worked into the school day, because otherwise I would not have had any formal music education really. And I remember it was while I was a student there that I think it was on Fridays, I had to stay back after school late waiting for my brother because he was taking art classes and Daddy not taking 2 trips to school to pick us up. So I would wait until he was finished and then Daddy would come pick us up and take us home. But while I was waiting, I noticed that there was this lady that would come every week and she would have a pan or 2 and she would set up in the auditorium and teach this one student who I think was maybe a couple of years younger than me. But I would be looking, watching what they're doing, because I remember the experience I had at Mary Tone's, and since then I had never played any pan. And I think she noticed me looking and watching and eventually invited me in and showed me a couple things on pan, and she realized that I played a little bit before and that I was picking up things really quickly. So I became a regular in her class, so I basically enrolled myself in private lessons. And this lady was Becca Xavier, so she is a pretty well-known music educator in Trinidad. And eventually I had taken home this cardboard replica of the note layout on a tenor pan. And I didn't tell my parents that I was taking pan lessons because I thought, But eventually, of course, they had to know because they had to pay for it. So she spoke with my parents, and we arranged something so that I would continue taking lessons with her. And I still didn't have my own instrument, so I would play on this piece of cardboard at home. And after I left Bryn Mawr Primary Schools, this is when I stopped taking the lessons because I was no longer at the place where she was giving the lessons. So now I'm in secondary school at St. Joseph's Convent, Port of Spain. And I think one of my biggest fears with going to that school is worrying that they mightn't have pan at the school or they mightn't have music. But there was music in the curriculum. We had music every week. And there was also a steel band. And I remember my music teacher, Mrs. Patrice Cox-Neves. I absolutely loved her as a teacher. On day one, she came in playing music that we could relate to. And this music that was very relevant culturally for us as students in school. And just her approach to teaching was very engaging. And I liked the fact that she knew how to relate to us. So I excelled in music because I had somewhat of a foundation that I built from Bryn Mawr Primary School. And there was, of course, a steel band at the school. And I signed up for it as an extracurricular activity. And eventually I started doing arrangements for the steel band, eventually became captain of the steel band. And then I think it was in 2006 or so, a good friend of mine, Josanne Romani, yes, another Josanne, we led the St. Joseph's Convent Steel Band to the finals of Junior Panorama with an arrangement we did together of Super Blues Flag Party. But prior to that, I didn't have any experience with Panorama, not even Junior Panorama, but playing in music festival with the St. Joseph's Convent Port of Spain Steel Band, having that experience, I was like, yes, I could really do this thing. And I remember my father, maybe a couple years before we did the Junior Panorama, taking me to the drag for Panorama. And this was the first time ever going to the drag. I don't even remember if my brother was there, if my sister was there, if my mother was there. I know Daddy was there, and I know I was there. And I just remember being glued to Desperado's Steel Band. They were playing Wap Cookie, Shadow's tune. It might have been 2004, but I don't remember any other band. I don't remember any other tune. I don't remember any other people. I just remember Daddy, Desperados, Wap Cookie. And I say, yes, I want to do this. I want to do this. So having that experience of seeing a steel band live, like a real steel band live, and the experience of being in music festival with St. Joseph's Convent, I said, I want to play in Panorama. I want to play in Panorama. I want to play in Panorama. And I remembered Barry Manette, who shares the same birthday with me, and is like a big brother to me. He was helping us when we prepared for music festival. And I remember going up to him and saying, Barry, I really want to play in Panorama. You know, any band that will let me come and play? And at that time, he was a member of Starlift, PCS Nitrogen Starlift Steel Band. And he said, yeah, just come to the Panyard, come to the Panyard. So Mommy and Daddy carried me to the Panyard. And I just remember being welcomed with open arms. And I made a lot of friends there. They were very welcoming. They really, really took me in immediately. And I was now a member of Starlift Steel Band. And for a while after that, I would go to the Panyard every night to learn the music. And Daddy would be there with me every night too. And poor Daddy, he would be in the car sitting down, waiting and waiting. Because, you know, preparing for Panorama, sometimes practice goes until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. But he just worked all day. And now he's sitting in the car waiting for me, probably getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. But it was a great experience, my first Panorama. And then after that, I eventually became section leader for the band, then eventually music director for the band at a very young age. And I played Panorama 2005, 2006, 2007. So my first exposure to Panorama with Desperados, that had to have been 2004. Then 2005 Panorama, I was on that stage. 2006 with Ray Hallman, 2007 with Ray Hallman. And by this time now, I am getting ready to leave school. So getting ready to graduate from Form 6. And I 100% knew I wanted to play pan and teach pan. So I started doing some research on the different schools that I could attend. I didn't really limit myself too much to location. And Dr. Ray Hallman knew that I was looking for schools, and he had a lot of experience from just touring and performing at different schools in the US. And he connected me with Dr. John Wooten at the University of Southern Mississippi. So I had a whole list of schools, and I had touched base with the directors of the percussion programs at these schools. And with the list, I knew I wanted to go somewhere that I can major in music and a place that had pan. I wasn't going anywhere without pan. And I evaluated my options and ended up selecting University of Southern Mississippi. And while there, I played in a steel band. I taught the community steel band. I had a lot of opportunities to perform, learned a lot from Dr. Wooten. And when I graduated from there in 2012, I went and did my master's with Liam Teague and Dr. Clifford Alexis at Northern Illinois University, which was a remarkable and inspiring experience. Just being able to work under Liam and under Cliff, I learned so much under them. So after I graduated from there in 2014, I really started to do a lot more performing. So while at NIU, I won the concerto competition, which led me to performing at Carnegie Hall. Like, pan has taken me in so many different places. I didn't mention that while I was at St. Joseph's Convent, because of my playing pan, I was able to travel internationally to Vienna, Austria, to Germany, and a few other places. So now I'm playing at Carnegie Hall in New York City. And right after that, I moved to Maryland to work with the nonprofit cafe, Cultural Academy for Excellence, an amazing arts and education program based in Prince George's County, Maryland. And after some years of doing that, I launched my own steel band education program called Steel on Wheels, because I realized a lot of people want pan, but they're not necessarily ready to make that initial investment into buying instruments. And then on top of that, they lack knowledge on how to teach pan, how pan even works, how to access instruments. So I launched Steel on Wheels in 2019, right before the pandemic. And since then, it has been very successful. So I've done so far for the year 2022 2 11-week residencies in New York City, having teaching artists Kendall Williams and Jelani Roberts. And there's a lot coming up in a few weeks across DC and Maryland. We have 11 programs that will be running, and we have teaching artists like Roger Greenidge, Francis Richards, Darren Roberts. We've had in the past Earl Brooks Jr., Dominic Lewis will be teaching as well this summer. So I am just so excited because these opportunities for teaching artists don't come up very often. And I'm just really grateful for my experiences throughout my entire career in music and pan, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for any of that. And my parents, I love them so much. I'm so grateful for them, the sacrifices that they made, and they never ever discouraged me from pursuing music, which I am so grateful for, because it could be very scary, entering this field and not necessarily having the knowledge of how to actually make a living off of it. But I am really happy. I am making a living off of music, a living off of pan, and while also creating opportunities for students to be exposed to pan, and creating opportunities for my friends and my colleagues to get opportunities to teach steel pan. And I'm just so excited for how far pan has come, and how far, again, it is to go. We have a lot of people in a lot of great places doing wonderful things for the instrument and for pushing it forward. And I'm just so excited. But that is my story of Pan. It has taken me to places that I would have never even dreamed of. Just last week, I headlined in Times Square, New York, for the Jazz in Times Square series. My residency at Stratmore Music Center has also opened up so many doors for me. I love my journey, and I am just so excited to see what comes next of this beautiful instrument from my beautiful home, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I love Pan.
Hello, my name is Leonard Jack Jr. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, and I now live in the United States, Bowie, Maryland, and I've been asked by the Trinidad and Tobago Embassy to talk about my introduction into playing the steel band. My first introduction into a steel band was back, I think I was about 7 years old. Can't remember the exact date, but I remember asking my mom to play with Juve with one of the steel bands that was in our area, about 5 minutes walking distance from where I used to live. The name of the band was Teenage Symphony, and I remember I used to have to pass there to go to school every day. I used to enjoy watching the bands, But I got a chance to play in the band. I was so happy, man. It was one of the happiest moments in my life. And I get to jump up the steel band and stuff, all the kids were there. I had a lot of adults in the band taking care of us. That was my first introduction to actually being in a steel band. Eventually, I grew up back, I think I was about 16 or 17 years old. I was introduced to a band called Trinbago. It was run by our world famous steel band tuner, Bertrand Kellman. One of my good buddies, Emerald Gray, introduced me to the band, and I went up there. I said I wanted to learn to play, and they quickly accepted me. One of the guys I used to dance with, I used to dance with Laser Dance Company. Lennox McCann, his brother was, I think he was the captain of the band at the time. And so between Lennox and Emerald, I got a chance to go up there to start playing the steel drums, steel pad. As I said, I was about 17 years old. And so I started playing with them, and Butch was my first teacher, Bertrand Kellman, and Emerald, a good buddy from way back, the 70s. And from there, there were a lot of guys who were also playing with Fontclair Steel Orchestra at the time. I think they were Muscotars Fontclair at the time. And they would tell me, well, you could come and play with us too, playing with Trovatos was basically like stateside, and a lot of them decided we could come and play with Fontclair. So I decided, cool. Fontclair was closer to me too, because Trovatos was in Pleasant Park. It was out maybe 20 minutes from where I used to live in Pleasantville. And I decided to go down to play with Fontclair. And I ended up joining the stateside. I think at one time I remember being I think it was the treasurer, one of them posts I had, I can't remember, that's been so long. But I always loved music, I always loved to play music. I think I'm a percussionist more than anything else. I love playing drums, that was my first thing. I remember my mom used to be beating my hand. We're gonna have dinner, and I'll be just playing drums, playing something, imaginary drums, playing a rhythm. I used to get in trouble in school, same thing, hitting the desk, making some type of rhythm. And I think I always like percussion. And then the steel band came about. I started playing. Played for, I think it was 1971. That's when I started playing with Fontclair. And I did a stint, we did the panoramas and stuff. We had some hard times, some hard losses. I remember when Professor Fillmore came and played. He wasn't living too far from us in Pleasantville. That was my good buddy. And I remember when he came and joined the band, and we started, the music started getting better and better and better, Rudin Austin was one of our readers at the time, and I played under his tutelage. He taught me a lot. Wire Austin taught me a lot too. We playing the steel band. I remember this was 1982. I was thinking about coming up to go to school, come up to the States to go to school. I used to be a school teacher. I taught school for about 10 years, and I got introduced to physical therapy through one of my cousins. He was working in England, and between him and my great aunt, she had a stroke. And I remember seeing the nurses come in, and remember seeing people come into the house and giving exercises and stuff. So that's my kind of introduction into physical therapy. And I almost went to England to study physical therapy, but I ended up coming up to the States. It was one of those things where I was teaching one moment, and the next week, it took me about a week, I got information that my papers were ready and I need to come up to Howard University to start school in about a week's time. So I had to make some arrangements, get my passport and all that stuff. And I remember going to practice. We were practicing for Panorama with Franklin. That's Saturday. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. And I had to tell the guys, I said, look, I know I'm practicing, but I won't be here for Panorama because I have to leave to go to the United States to study. And this was like January 10th. And I was talking to the guys, I think around the 8th. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember the exact day. And I told them, I said, look, I'm going to be here because I got my papers came through and I had to come up to go to school. Wire and Rudy and them decided, well, okay, we have to have a party before you go, you know. So the Sunday afternoon after practice, it was a Sunday. After practice, they decided to have a little party and stuff, get a little going away party. And I was gifted with a tenor pan to come up with. And I was so happy. We then decided to say, look, man, you've been with us for a while, and you're leaving to go up to school, take this pan with you. You never know where you're going to be and stuff, you know. So I decided I took it, and I came up to the United States, came up with my girlfriend at the time, my wife now. Came up to go to school, and I ended up at Howard University. While there, I used to play steel pan just around, you know, people's homes and stuff. I didn't have a band or anything yet. We were just playing a lot of solo stuff. I met June Charles. She played the guitar. One of my friends, Hedy, she played the drums, percussive drums, African drums. And one day we decided we're going to play for what we call every Christmas we had something called Christmas in the Caribbean. It was like a show. And people showcase their talents and stuff. And I decided I can play. So I came up. I think the first time I played up on campus was O Holy Night. Yeah, I was playing O Holy Night. A little African background calypso rhythm. And that was the beginning of playing at Howard University while I was there with my band. I think 2 or 3 years after I came up, it was 1983 when I came up, 1985, that's right, 1985. Oh, wait a minute, before that, before I came up to the States, my girlfriend was working in Port of Spain at the time, and she met this guy, Franklin Harding, his nickname was Tiki. She met him and she was telling him that she was getting ready to come up to go to school. And, you know, they were just talking, and she mentioned that her boyfriend, that was me, played the steel pan. And he said, what? He said, look, man, call me when you get here. He has a band in Washington, D.C., and nice to have him come and play with us. So I was kind of recruited indirectly back in Trinidad to come and play. I ended up playing with the Washington Steel Band, Steel Orchestra of Washington, D.C. So I played with them since 83 to about 85. And then I formed my own group on campus called Fusion. I met a guy from, he was born in England, of Trinidad and Tobago parentage, by the name of Kenneth Joseph. He's a drummer. Chris Toussaint, he's a percussionist. June Charles, she's also from Trinidad, and she plays the guitar and the bass. And Garth Hewlett, who lives in, he was from Tortola. And we've just got started getting together, playing music, just playing for anything that we can play. We didn't have a name or anything yet. And one day we were practicing like Chris Tuesday, and we were playing, I think it was take 5 or something like that, but we played, instead of playing it in 5, we played it in 4. And we were trying to figure out, well, we could play it in 4. We said, yeah, we can play it. So we ended up playing it in 4 and stuff. So that was, I think we had a gig to do. I'm not sure if it was on campus or what, but we ended up having a gig. But we had no name of the band. And I think Chris was the person who said fusion sounds like a good name. We fusing the steel pan with other conventional instruments, and there it happened. Leonard Jack and Fusion was formed back in 1985. Simultaneously, while playing at Trinidad Tobago Steel Band, we ended up forming another band, all steel orchestra called Pan Masters Steel Orchestra, and with Malcolm John and a lot of the other guys there. So I started playing in 2 bands at the same time. 1985, I formed Fusion, and I also am part of the foundation member of the Pan Masters Steel Orchestra. So that's how I ended up playing in Trinidad with Funkler, which was the first band I played with, Travatos. Then played with Funkler, came up to the States, played with the Washington Steel Band, Washington DC, and then played with Pan Masters, and I also played my own group, Leonard Jack and Fusion. Leonard Jack and Fusion is more, we play more Caribbean jazz. We play music from the African diaspora, meaning jazz, Latin, calypso, reggae, pop, blues, anything. And we consist of, sometimes the band will be like a 5-piece, a saxophonist, a drummer, keyboardist, bass and drums, and then sometimes percussionists. It depends on where we have to play. I do a lot of solo gigs now. Just have some background tracks, or I do a duet, or a trio, or quartet, quintet, septet, whatever comes our way. In the year 2000, I did my first CD, actually my first and only CD that I've ever done. It was called Give Thanks. And presently, I have a lot of ideas in my head. I have some stuff written down already, and I would like to do my sophomore CD this year. COVID came and kind of squashed most of our plans, but we survived. I'm still here, and I just have to get my guys together now so we can start doing some music. I have a special song that I wrote for Ken Professor Fillmore, a good buddy. Yeah, that's my good buddy, man. And his passing was heartfelt. And I wrote a song called Professor of Love. And stay tuned for it. Hopefully it should be out the end of the year. We'll see how that works out. You know how things go with recordings. That's about it. That's how I ended up starting to play the steel pan. I'm still doing it. When I came up to the States, I went to school, did my physical therapy degree. I got my doctorate in physical therapy. I worked at Howard University for 31 years. Last year, November, I decided, okay, I'm ready to do music full time. And I retired from physical therapy then. But I loved it. I never stopped, even through school, I never stopped playing pan. I stopped playing basketball, soccer, badminton, you know, all the sports and stuff. But I never stopped playing music. Music was my my go-to. After classes, after a hard day at class, so I used to work nights sometimes. So after a hard day, I'll come home, play my pan, and get creative, you know, and fill my soul. I basically, when I play now, it's, I mean, the joy that comes from playing, the joy that comes from seeing people react to the music. Sometimes I really think I'm in church. preaching, but through the vibrations of the steel pan. I totally enjoy it. Thank you for listening to my story. That's it in a nutshell. I love playing, and hopefully God allows me to play for a long, long time again. I'm thankful for getting this gift of music. And as my mom used to tell me, if you have a gift, you have to give it away. And that's how I think. I have the gift, and I gotta play for the people. So again, thank you very much for listening to my little story.
Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying, we have some of the best storytellers. So sit back, relax as we hear from one of our newest transplants to the United States of America. Miss Nikki Crosby, a popular broadcaster, stand-up comedian, and a multiple Cacique Award winner for her work in theater. And of course, let's not forget that whenever Nikki is around, Granny is not too far behind.
Hi everybody, it's Nikki Crosby, and I say hello to everyone that's watching. Thank you for your time as we celebrate each other. Now people must be saying, Nikki Crosby, she in the US? You know, Nikki is Trini to the bone. And yes, I am Trini to the bone. I could never tell myself I've migrated. Let me tell you how I reached here. You know, you must say, but what, Nikki? How? My husband of 20 years is a U.S. Navy veteran, and he moved back to Trinidad after spending maybe about 30 years in the U.S. And so we were married, always had my visitor visa, never really wanted to apply because always, you know, I'm a Trini to the bone, I'm a Trini girl, I'm not leaving for nothing. But as we got older, you know, things like medical benefits, etc., become very important in life. So with the COVID and, you know, with the entertainment industry, basically it was shut down for 2 years. We thought maybe that was the best time for me to make that move. So I came into the US as a visitor on a visitor's visa, and then I did an adjustment of status, which is you come in as a visa, and as a visitor, and you now change your status to a green card. So I am presently in the last stages of waiting for my green card. And it has been different. It has been challenging at times, you know, because if you're in that Caribbean environment, you know, it's so different to how I see the US, almost very cold compared to how Caribbean people are always warm and, you know, and nurturing, and, you know, we love people. I've been here 10 months and barely know the neighbors. You know, we even see people going in and out, you know. You can't macro properly, you know, in the Caribbean, you're in a corner house, you can macro people business. Here you can't macro nobody business. Everybody locked up, you know. A funny story I had was, you know, everybody thinks we're going to the US, everything's going to be great. And the first night I came, I stayed with my sister, everything was great. I wake up next morning, current gone. Can you believe it? In United States of America, current gone. But that's how we say it in Trinidad and Tobago. I guess here it's electricity has gone, you know. And I couldn't believe it. I literally looked out expecting to see a Tech yellow truck park up underneath the lamppost. But it was in the area and they had a shutdown, which just for a little while. But it was just like a real shock treatment, you know. I reached the US and bam, current gone. And we always back talking the Caribbean. But I guess things happen everywhere. I also thought, you know, the kind of plans I had, I wanted to do like a one-woman show, bring comedy to the diaspora and bring some of that Caribbean love, as we like to call it, to spread to the people. And then next thing I see Will Smith slap Chris Rock. I said, wait, they just slap comedians in the US? I gone. So it's been an adjustment. It has definitely been an adjustment. It has made me really appreciate my Trinidad and Tobago, our music, our people, our carnival, and it has really made you miss home, you know? And I miss home. Florida has a very active Caribbean community, and but it's spread out like Yampi. Everybody real far from each other. So, you know, I've had to get accustomed to get, you know, contacting people and getting on to them to do a lime or, you know, compared to when you're in the Caribbean, you just jump in a car and bam, lime start. So it has been a difference in the way I live. But I've taken this time away from, I guess, the whole entertainment scene and everyone to just kind of appreciate the smaller things in life, the things we take for granted, which are a family, just some quiet time, a spiritual time. I've spent a lot of time with just myself and exploring my spirituality, etc. So I would think this is a blessing in disguise, because most people do just stop for a year and don't do anything, and that's basically where I am, because of the fact that when you have the adjustment of status, you can't travel or you can't work. So anybody out there, my paper should come through soon, so I'll be up for work. What, Granny? No, Granny, I'm doing a video. I cannot talk. It's for Washington, yeah, the ambassador, the embassy there, and the consulate. Granny, I cannot talk now. Just give me one. I don't know, she could be talking to the embassy and them and ask Granny, hello, hi everybody, nice to see you. Oh, I hope the Prime Minister is watching. Hello, Kitos. I'm a boy, Well, all right, nobody asked me what I feel about living here. Chut man. Firstly, let me tell you, Nikki decided she's coming to America and she's bringing Granny. Because she tell me, I have to stay fit and all of that and, come to America, they have good medical and stuff, they will take care of you. Well, let me start from the beginning. Well, when I did pack to come Trinidad, of course, Granny packed all she bushy thing. All the plants and them I need from my bush tea. When I reach customs, they take away all, telling me, I can't bring in any plant-like substance. What that means is not a substance, it's a plant from the bush tea. They confiscate all. Me don't like this place too much, And then I got getting accustomed to the place. All of a sudden, the first week I land here, they just always tell you, if you see something, say something. I hear noise outside. When I go on a peep, I see a man. He drop a box outside and gone. I said, but what is that? Well, I called the police one time. 911. That's the number. Anyway, I called them. Yes, I said, a strange man just dropped a box outside, and they say if you see something, say something. In no time. That's what I like about here, though. The police reach in no time. Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. When they open it and test it out, I thought it was a bomb. Something from Amazon. I didn't know that. They hold the man vexed with me, all kind of things. But they don't have to. That in Trinidad, where people just drop box and just go, that is bomb. What? I learning. It's certain things I realize you could do in Trinidad and you can't do here. Like I was helping Nikki clean out, and when you clean out, you put it in a drum and boom, you light it on fire. You can't do that here. I learned the hard way. The same policeman, he did come back. Yes, and I get a ticket. Imagine, a ticket for burning rubbish in the back of your yard, your own yard. Dortish! I get an next ticket. But that really wasn't my fault. It's a cultural thing, Nikki and them, they move in by the lakes. Oh, Silver Shores, nice place, So I went for a little walk the other day, and I see the big fat duck. I said, well, I could curry he. So I start to run down the duck, because it's a free duck. You don't see that in Trinidad, duck just wobbling down the road. And I hold on to him, and as I start to pull him off the road, bam, the police officer reach again. So he asked me what I'm doing. I said, well, I see a duck, and with this curry duck in Trinidad. I get a ticket for that too. You can't curry the people and them duck out here. That's not a good thing, I don't know why they bring me to this country. They need to send me back home where I could curry my duck, I could boil all the bush tea I want, and I have no strange man coming by my door to drop off no box. All right, but other than that, Florida is lovely. It's in the same warm weather. Oh, God, it's hot out there. I tell myself the devil have U.S. citizenship because he living here for sure. I never experienced the kind of heat and hot flashes Granny is getting. Love me and get a hot flash. Well, bam, the U.S. give me hot flashes. What? You sit and wrap it up? Oh, I thought. She even let me talk now. She telling me to hurry up, hurry up. Anyway, well, I just want to tell all the grannies out there, all the grandpas, you all take care of each other. And don't let the children and then put you in an old home. Eh? Just do that up here. I'm watching Nikki with cut eye to see if she want to put me in any old home because I is not going. Telling me, oh, the retirement homes here lovely. In Trinidad, we don't have that. Nobody is putting me in no retirement home. All right, but Granny gone. I know when Nikki gone. Anyway, but all you have a good time, and thanks for having us. Well, I know you didn't really have me. You had Nikki, but we's a package. Nikki and Granny. All right? To all the Trini people, woohoo! Trini to the bone. Trini to the bone. All right, I'm coming off a touch, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a treat we just experienced. And now I have the privilege to extend the vote of thanks on behalf of Ambassador Anthony Wayne Jerome Philip Spencer and the entire mission team of the Embassy of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago here in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Senator the Honorable Randall Mitchell, Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, for your contribution to and endorsement of this event and your continued commitment to preserving and promoting the wealth of culture in our Twin Island Republic. To our esteemed panelists, Professor Liam Teague, Ms. Josanne Francis, and Dr. Leonard Jack Jr., words cannot express the Trini pride that we feel and our gratitude for the gift that you all so willingly shared, not only with us, but with the entire world. A heartfelt thank you, thank you, thank you. Miss Nikki Crosby, once again, heartiest thanks to you and of course Granny for reminding us that laughter is always the best medicine. This program could not be possible without the faithful assistance of Mr. Greg Smith, our online stream production manager, Miss Chanel Bess, my dear colleagues, Mrs. Christiane Stewart, Miss Rudy Trushan, and Miss Khadijah Bishop. And of course, you, a wonderful viewing and listening audience, both here in the United States of America and back home in our beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. We now leave you with the sweet song of Pan. See you guys next year. I thank you.